Okay, so you've heard these terms thrown around all the time, right? Data security, data governance. Sometimes people even use them interchangeably. But here's the thing, are they the same? Not even close. One is about building a fortress around your data, and the other, it's about writing the laws for what actually happens inside that fortress. And, understanding that difference is one of the most critical challenges in the data world today. To really see why, we've got to look at two of the biggest data scandals in recent memory. Right, let's get to the heart of it. We're going to look at two infamous stories that I'm sure you remember. The Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal and that massive Equifax data breach. Both of these were all over the headlines. They both involved just huge amounts of our personal data. And let's be honest, they both shattered public trust. Now, pretty much everyone just lumped these together and called them data breaches. But were they really the same kind of failure? The answer is a hard no. And when we unpack that no, it reveals everything you need to know about the difference between keeping data safe and keeping it trustworthy. Okay, first up, let's talk about the classic break-in. This is the world of data security, and our case study here is the moment the fortress walls came crashing down over at Equifax. The Equifax breach was, well, a textbook security failure. Hackers found a known vulnerability in some web software. You can think of it like a broken window that the company knew about for months, but just hadn't gotten around to fixing. They waltzed right through it, got inside, and could move around pretty freely because, turns out, a lot of the internal doors weren't properly locked either. So what was the price tag for leaving that window unlocked? A staggering $700 million in fines and fixes. And that's not even mentioning the exposure of personal data for about 145 million people. That is the cost of a pure security lapse. So here's the crucial point. Data security is the fortress. It's all about building the walls, locking the doors, setting up the alarms, everything you do to protect your data from anyone who isn't supposed to have access. It's about stopping people from breaking in. Simple as that. But what happens when the problem isn't a break-in? What if the data is just handed over right through the front door? This is where we pivot to our second case, and we enter the world of data governance. Now, here is the most shocking part of the whole Cambridge Analytica story, and it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about. The truth is, it wasn't a hack. No one broke in. The system, believe it or not, did exactly what it was designed to do. See, a developer used Facebook's own tools, their API, to build a simple quiz app. But this app didn't just collect data from the people who used it. No, it collected data from all of their friends, too. The locks on the fortress were fine. The data was simply walked out the front gate. The failure here was a total breakdown in the rules. First off, users never gave informed consent for their friends' data to be taken like that. Second, the developer who got the data turned around and sold it, which was a clear violation of Facebook's own rules. And finally, it was completely unclear who at Facebook was actually accountable for making sure these rules were followed. This was a catastrophic governance failure. And this just perfectly illustrates data governance. It's not the fortress wall, it's the rule book. It's the whole framework for defining who is allowed to use the data, what they're allowed to do with it, and making sure that use is authorized, ethical, and legal. It's for the people who already have the keys to the castle. So let's put them side by side to make it super clear. Security is the fortress. It prevents unauthorized access. Governance is the rulebook. It defines authorized use. Security stops people from breaking in. Governance makes sure the people who are already inside behave themselves. You absolutely need both. Okay, so if you need both, what does that actually look like in practice? What are the core tools and ideas you need to build both a strong fortress and a clear rulebook? For security, the bedrock principle is something called the CIA triad. Confidentiality is about keeping secrets secret. Think encryption and access controls. Integrity is making sure the data is accurate and hasn't been messed with, so a bank balance can't be changed without permission. And availability just means the system is up and running so you can actually get to your data when you need it. Every single security decision is a balance between these three. Now, on the governance side, the controls are less about technology and more about people and processes. You've got 4 core pillars. Data stewardship is all about assigning owners. Data quality is making sure the data is actually reliable. Data lineage is tracking where data comes from and how it's changed. And data retention sets the rules for how long you keep it. Let's dig into a couple of these.
Data stewardship is absolutely fundamental. It just means you appoint an actual person, a steward, to be accountable for a specific set of data. So you might have a customer data steward whose entire job is to own the rules for all customer information, making sure it's accurate, well-defined, and used the right way.
And data lineage is just as critical. I love this one. It's basically the life story of your data. Where did this number come from? What happened to it along the way? Where did it end up? If you can't trace that journey, you can't truly trust your results. And this is what happens when governance fails. Come on, has this ever happened at your company? Marketing says you have one number, finance has a completely different one. Without a single governed definition of what an active customer even is, both teams can be technically right, but the conflicting numbers just destroy all trust in the data. And this isn't just a minor annoyance. The cost of bad data quality, which is a direct result of poor governance, is estimated to cost the U.S. economy a jaw-dropping $3 trillion every single year. So this brings us to the final and I think most important point. Securing your data is only half the battle. The real goal here, the bigger prize, is to build trust. Let's run a little thought experiment. Imagine you've built the world's most secure data warehouse. It is a digital Fort Knox. Absolutely nobody is getting in who shouldn't be. Why could this project still be a complete and utter failure? Well, because security can't stop an authorized user from accidentally deleting a critical file. It can't guarantee that the data inside is even accurate or up to date. And it certainly can't stop someone from using that perfectly secure data for something unethical or illegal, like creating a discriminatory hiring model. Only good governance can protect against those risks. And that, right there, is the crucial takeaway. Data security is vital. It answers the question, is our data safe from outsiders? But data governance answers a much deeper, more profound question, one that ultimately determines the real value of everything you're collecting. Your data might be secure, but can you trust it?